70 years ago, the people of India gave themselves a charter of democracy and a framework of governance for over 1 billion people. In 2008, responding to a question whether the Indian Constitution will look like in 2050, the then Solicitor General Gopal Subramaniam told a journal that it would survive 600 more years. According to him, it was one of the most well-crafted constitutions that has a lot of space and the dynamism to grow. The fundamental principles such as republicanism, secularism, equality, fraternity, with social, economic and political justice forming its core values. It will acquire different meanings at different points, evolving with the time, but would still be the guiding force for governing values in any civilized society, even in 2050. But let me assure you, and let me rather reassure you, that this flexibility to amend the Constitution does have some checks and balances as propounded in the Supreme Court judgment of 1973, whereby it was established that the Parliament's power to amend the Constitution is not absolute. It could not in any way violate, alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Constitution of India is the preserver and protector of the soul of India, which resides in pluralism and tolerance. India is not just a geographical entity. It carries a history of ideas, philosophy, intellect, intellectual genius, craft, innovation, experience. Plurality of our society has come through assimilation of ideas over centuries. The multiplicity in culture, faith, and language is what makes India special and what makes Indian Constitution so very special. We derive our strength from the tolerance that has been the part of our collective consciousness for centuries for managing divergent strands in public discourse. The miracle document, as I call it again, combines a federal structure consisting of strong center, states, and lesser union territories with parliamentary democracy, and it provides a bill of fundamental rights and directive principles, and the preamble to guide the future.
When it comes to principles and the values, the Indian Constitution enshrines quite a number of values, but the two which are very fundamental are equality and freedom. This Constitution has survived and it will survive, and to me it seems that because of these values, it's not just because these values are fundamental in our Constitution, these are the fundamental human values so this is what we as humanity aspire for, and that is what the Constitution aspires for as well, so there is that. So it's built on those human values. So to me that's really, really fundamental. And I also want to say that the process, the way the Constitution was drafted was itself quite remarkable. Remember, this was 1946. This is when the World War II had just ended. The socio-political environment, the geopolitics of the world was very different than what we see today. Many countries were still struggling to gain independence. This was the time when the 284 members of the Constituent Assembly of India started this process.
In 1949, at the same day, in 1924, first Constitution of Mongolia.
26 January in India was chosen as a Republic Day because of the Declaration of Independence of 1930. So this is also to commemorate the independence and the proclamation of the Republic at the same day. So you can see how big it is. This is the text of the Constitution itself. You know, they mentioned that it's been the longest, but also I think it's not only the longest, but I would like to mention that it's also the most detailed Constitution, in the sense that each of its articles is actually 3 times longer than the Mongolian Constitution, which is I also brought for you here. It's one of the again unique features of Indian Constitution that it's rigid constitution. In a sense, it's written, but also a flexible one. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief drafter of the Constitution of India, said that if we wish to maintain democracy not merely in the form but also in fact, what we must do is to hold fast to constitutional methods for achieving our social and economic objectives. And where the constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for unconstitutional methods. And I think he has been very much foresightful, because he already, I think, foreseen that there could be attempts to amend or change or modify the constitution by unconstitutional means. And I think I would even call him also the spiritual father of the Indian constitutional doctrine of basic structure.